and welcome to Wise Woman Wednesdays. My name is Jennifer Regular. I'm a soul-centered empowerment coach at Lighting the Path, and I'm also your host here on the show, which I love doing because I get to bring women from all around the world to inspire us with their stories, their journey, their experiences, and all the wonderful things that they do to bring more beauty and love and nurturing into the world and help us elevate consciousness as well. Today, my guest is all the way from the other end of the world in New South Wales, Australia. Let's welcome Linda Grundy Barrett. Nice to meet you here.
Nice to be here. It's such a privilege.
Oh, it's such an honor to have you too. And I'll tell the audience a little bit about you. Linda is passionate and she's a professional holistic healer. She's also a clinical hypnotherapist, a psychic tarot reader, a transformational life coach that uses NLP and timeline therapy. She's also an energy healer, a Reiki master, an intuitive and clairsentient, a tarot teacher, and also a workshop and retreat facilitator. And today she's here to talk about all things metaphysical, which you seem to know a lot about given that kind of bio. So welcome again, Linda.
Thank you so much for having
for you.
Okay, so I should really go to the very beginnings of all of this, which is the fact that I am an Australian-born Romany Gypsy. So my connection to tarot began with my desire to reconnect to my roots. I did have a science background, so I was in dentistry for many years, and it was a bit of a juxtaposition between my career, which I had for many years in dentistry, and the metaphysical side of things that I was starting to be drawn to. Mm-hmm. But it was the connection to my Gypsy heritage that sort of pulled me away from the science and into the metaphysical and the spiritual path, along with as often happens, changes that happen to you without you sort of expecting that they'll ever happen, that can redirect you as well. And in tarot, we call them a tower moment. And I, like many people, had a few tower moments in my life. And so my path sort of was shifted. And now I find myself full-time doing spiritual and metaphysical work with my business, Soul Hypnotherapy, in beautiful Lake Macquarie, New South Wales.
Amazing. Yes, those pivots and those rites of passages that we go through to be where we are now. What is soul hypnotherapy?
Okay, so soul hypnotherapy is where it's just a way for us to connect to our own path and really understand through radical compassion for ourselves what it is that we're supposed to be doing. So once I realised that my path was still a healing path, but just in a different form, and that I could develop tools to help people to do that through hypnosis and using tarot as well as a pathway to really understand what people's needs were and desires were, and true pathway, help them to really understand for themselves, but using tarot as tools. I just realised, like many people, you hear the word soul in many a bio, because soul best describes that real connection to our spiritualities, but also to our real pathway. And I just felt that that was very fitting. So the difference between hypnotherapy, that say you might just go and have some hypnosis done, and soul hypnotherapy is where really not just doing some healing, but we're helping you to find your true path and getting you aligned and actually moving in that direction.
Yes. And you mentioned becoming aligned or really pulled into your Gypsy life, your Gypsy roots. So can you tell us a little bit more about how that came about, how you came back into alignment with that, and what that call was like, how you knew that that's what you were meant to do?
That's right. Mm-hmm. So when you start to just have a feeling that something doesn't feel right. So and also I think the universe sort of steps in sometimes and helps you to really understand that, you know, you're not really aligned with your true path. But for me, even as a little girl, I lived in Australia, but I used to have dreams about women in gypsy clothes, and I used to love to travel and, you know, all the cliche kind of gypsy style things. And then I just felt that the cards sort of spoke to me as well. And that started, I suppose, in my 20s. I started just doing tarot readings. I didn't really understand or truly believe, you know, that this is just a bit of fun at first, I thought to myself. But then once I understood that this was started out to be a very intuitive thing, where I really understood that my intuition was taking me there, that the cards were teaching me every day different things about myself, and psychic connection was showing me. And that happened by validation. So I would get validation through the cards. I get validation through messages. And the more I started to connect with the Romany lifestyle, and, you know, now we're so lucky with the internet, we can, you know, reach out overseas and sort of connect that way. I started to understand that there were so many people just like me who there's a lot of, I suppose, traditional stories that you hear about gypsy readers, and there's, I could talk about the gypsy style of things for ages, because you know, that's how a lot of traditional Romany gypsies made a living, was to do readings and psychic readings. And so I had to sort of fend off, I suppose, those old stories and prove to myself that, yes, this is actually a valid pathway and a real thing for me. So I had to have proof. With the science brain, my science part of me wanted to always show that, you know, this is a real thing. And then after a while, I just stopped worrying and just trusted,
yes.
connected more and more into my gypsy way of thinking and living. And once I let it flow, I connected to my soul much more, and gave up, you know, the other science-based kind of lifestyle. And yeah, I suppose I'm an Australian version of the Romany gypsy. I'm very happy traveling. I have a little camper and I live in a wooden cabin. I just love my tarot, and just, yeah, connect to that more than anything now.
Yes. Oh, wow. That's so amazing. And it sounds like a real journey of self-discovery. And yet it's not so much about self-discovery as just uncovering your roots and kind of unraveling your lineage, and
yes,
really aligning with that, and then using those tools, you know, and the research and all of that as a way to access that again, right? And then using your tarot continuously,
yes,
for more guidance and information, as a tool for
yes,
all things metaphysical. So tell us more about what that actually means, because many of our viewers will know that, and some are just new and just starting to learn about metaphysics and what all that
that's right
stuff means.
That's
so
right.
Maybe you can shine some light on that for us.
Absolutely. So basically there is a difference between spirituality and metaphysical things. So spirituality really refers to things that are intangible, but it is a spirit and a soul. But it can refer to abstract ideas like love and hate, but basically is often a faith-based thing. Excuse me. Whereas metaphysics is kind of a branch of philosophy. So it is about us learning about the nature of being in our world other than the physical side of things. And it can be measured by doing physical things to connect with that, whereas, say, our spirituality is a belief or an understanding or a faith-based thing. And I think that there is an essence of each in each other. You know, when we start going down that path, we have to have a bit of faith when we're entering into the metaphysical world, but we also start to gravitate to things like crystals and, you know, pendulum work and all sorts of different things, tarot cards, all sorts of tools for, I guess, divination, different forms of divination, which is what the metaphysical lifestyle can be about.
Okay.
That makes sense?
It does make sense. Thank you for that distinction, and how they can interplay with each other as well. And faith.
Yes.
So spirituality and faith. That's an interesting way to think about it. And faith for me too can be an acronym for finding answers in the
Yeah.
heart. Right. And
Yes.
so tapping into the truth, your soul, your spiritual essence in the heart and finding answers there, because that's where all the answers are.
Yes.
Right. And yes, there's teachers and there's books and there's courses and all of those things that can also, again, just help us access that and bring us back in to our heart to find those answers and allow our spirit to lead. My motto is free your spirit to direct the life that you were meant to live. And so it's surrendering to that and being guided by that and being trusting in that process.
Mm.
And then metaphysics is in more of the understanding then of our being. Is that what you're
Yes.
saying?
Yes.
Okay.
And I think there's a lot of similarities, and whilst I suppose it's a descriptive distinction, but they are very much the same thing. It is faith and believing in something more than what we can physically see in this world, and really following that intuition to start with to get us there. Because not everybody, and I certainly didn't grow up in a household that was religious. In fact, quite the opposite. So I guess that was part of my struggle to move to a place where I did have faith in something other than, what I could see, hear, feel, or smell. and that's been my journey, and I guess I call it relating back to tarot, a rebirth. And I believe we all go through many rebirths in one lifetime often, and we're always on that journey of trying to find our purpose and be the best people that we can be, hopefully, once we get to that stage. But that brings us back to the hypnosis side of things, because we often live our life in trance, and we can be in trance for many, many years, not really understanding that things aren't quite aligned or aren't right, or even that we can make any changes. And so a very interesting book that I've been reading, Tara Brach. Have you read her
absolutely.
work? Yes. The Radical Compassion is just such a, she does such a beautiful explanation of, coming out of trance and really feeling into your emotional feelings and acknowledging and nurturing all those things, and such a beautiful way of explaining just that, stepping out of trance.
And you mentioned there about feelings, and some people are afraid of their feelings, and yet that's a real way that we can get in touch with ourselves and our intuition, isn't it? So how can it feel safe to delve into our feelings?
So, the old saying, you have to feel to heal. And there is confusion often about what that means to have emotions and to have feelings, and how should we manage them. And there's a whole heap of conversations around that, particularly with men, for example, are not supposed to have, outwardly shown emotions and feelings. And so how do they navigate that landscape? And then for others, it's a sign of vulnerability to, show our emotions and show our feelings. So it seems to be, as you mentioned, raising the collective consciousness. That seems to be really quite evidently happening now. Yes. People are stepping into the work that they need to do, either becoming better healers or just starting to explore that path, or just as an individual, really looking at, who am I, what's going on with me, how am I feeling, what seems right for me, all those sort of hard questions, and are starting to do the work. It feels like a real movement, doesn't it?
It does. It is a real movement. It's really, it really is a movement. And it's an elevation and an evolution as well.
Yes.
As some things are coming down, there's a lot that's coming up as well. That's rising up. That's giving rise to more, and some would call it ascension, an accelerated ascension that's happening now. And so we talked about feelings, and you mentioned earlier too about being able to take in information from your senses, you know, from what you were seeing
Mm.
and hearing,
Yes,
and touching, and
yes,
so on. And we know that there's senses beyond that as well. But we are multisensory beings, after all, living
yes, yes,
multidimensional lives. So
yes,
you mentioned when I was introducing you, I mentioned how you're clairsentient.
yes,
So explain what that means and how you came
yes.
to experience
Be
that
aware
and
of
know
that.
that that's what
Yes.
you had.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So I first became aware of being clairsentient when I just knew that I was feeling people's energy. So I knew this before I was really an experienced tarot reader, but I just was aware of I could just stand in someone's presence and I would know just feel all the things that they were going through in a real visceral way, just really understood that I was feeling them. And so I'd be taking on all of these things, and until I really understood that that was what was happening, I just thought, I'm just this, I suppose, really emotional person. But I would understand, and I guess that helped me to connect with people a lot as well. But that was my first sense, just understanding that I could feel what was going on with people. Then from there, I started to really focus on my intuition and started to test that more. And I'd start to understand intuitively why people were doing things, and as well as feeling the energy, and not really have any training around that. But, you can use that in a lot of areas of your life, other than professionally. And like a lot of empaths, you get drawn to healing people. You just want to help and heal people. And I believe we all have that ability to feel and to intuitively understand others when we really allow ourselves to, as well as psychic abilities. I think we all can develop that as well. And that's a journey that, it's just a matter of being open and understanding that it is possible to really connect to your own abilities. Once you, I think, let go and just have faith that, your path will become revealed, I suppose, or show itself. Once you just have faith and trust in it, then more things start to happen, and they happen quite quickly once you're on that path. So I went from the clairsentience, which is just a clair, which is just another way of saying clairvoyant, or, your psychic ability. And I was happy with that. And then, intuitively, I was really happy with that. And now I start to have messages come through when I do readings, quite vivid messages in dreams. And that's ever evolving and ever changing ability as well. So it's, yeah.
So you have your tarot cards in your dreams as your big passions at the moment, it sounds like.
Yes, tarot is definitely, because I live and breathe tarot, and I have done for a long time now, it's as if you were to describe it, that spirit will know what works for me, so it will give me an image of what I relate to the most. And I think that can be different for everybody. And it's exciting because I'm really enjoying developing that sense as well. And but how I connected in with the hypnotherapy, which is really fun as well, is sometimes we'll just work together and we'll do tarot.
You're speaking very slowly right now. Having a little bit of a technical difficulty at the moment.
Things for sorry, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Perfect. Yes,
okay,
you're back.
Sorry.
Okay.
we have an internet issue sometimes. My apologies, folks.
No problem. So you were just about to tell us about the tarot, and
so really just the tarot, when connected with the way that I work in my soul hypnotherapy type of work, is I sometimes will use tarot as tools for it's sort of conversation starters with clients, so they can identify just visually things that come up, and then it helps them unlock things for themselves, and then we can go in and do the healing work with the hypnosis. It's just another tool, really, for divination, but also for self-development.
Right, self-development. And what often do people come to you for? What kind of questions are they bringing, or what kind of experience or outcomes are they hoping for when they come to see you for a reading?
So people may feel stuck. They might feel like they're at that very, very early stage of a rebirth, but they don't know it yet.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, like many of us have been through, where things aren't bad necessarily, but they're not amazing, not living in pure joy, or not really doing the passion that they really want to be doing, but don't know how to change their life, or they're just unhappy with something. And so it will range from that to people who are really struggling with anxiety, depression, want to stop, doing something that they really know is not healthy for them. And, a variety of different issues and ailments. I have clients who are managing and battling with cancer, who come and see me for pain management and anxiety around, that sort of thing. It's just an amazing way of reprogramming or rewiring your brain's thought processes, really.
Mm-hmm.
Changing the story.
Changing the story, like you did, from dentistry to being a tarot reader and a soul hypnotherapist.
Yes.
And you mentioned when you shared that earlier that it just kind of felt like something was off, or something that was wrong or missing in your life. Can you go into that a little bit more, so that, because there's probably many people right now, especially in the last couple of years, that are reevaluating their path, and what they thought they would be doing the rest of their lives maybe has changed in some way, either forced or by choice, or is in the midst of that. So tell us a little bit about more how things shifted for you out of that career of dentistry.
So I loved dentistry, and I did it since I was 16, and then went on to do further study to become a clinician. Once I got to that clinical stage, it still felt like I could have been helping in another way. Basically, I always wanted to help people. That was never in question, and I loved the connection. But dentistry is a very specific field, and it didn't. I did do some missionary work to Madagascar with a fellow dentist, and helped some people in a town there, which was, I think, the start of my awakening, when I realised that there was more that I needed to be doing to help people. And dentistry, whilst it was a wonderful career that I had, it wasn't quite enough. So then I had a physical injury, which sort of took me out of that field for a little while, and then I did the self-reflection and thought, well, maybe I can look into the spiritual / metaphysical path more. The other thing I should mention, and it'll be very remiss of me to get to this point and not say, my beautiful sister has been on a very similar path as well, and we both started a business together. And she's had her journey, of course, and she's amazing and does lots of metaphysical things too. But I was lucky enough to have my sister and I do stuff at a similar, I suppose, in similar stages. We both sort of learnt and did tarot together, and sort of progressed to now where we run metaphysical for beginners retreats. Yes, and the reason we do that for beginners is because people can have an opportunity to learn about how they can develop their own intuition, and there's so many different tools and pathways for that, but just to give them a hands-on experience if they're interested in learning more.
And it's so great to be able to do that within community too. I just find it that much more potent or powerful, and really when we can engage and elevate together. There's just something magical that happens in community like that. So
Absolutely.
what a wonderful
And
way to do it on a retreat, you know, where you're away from
yes,
your normal routines and environments too, and you can really immerse yourself in that.
yes,
Mhm.
that's for sure. And meet like-minded people and have some fun. I think the thing about our retreats is we just like to have fun, really. We don't want to be too sort of serious. Just learn and have fun, and that's whether it be tarot cards, pendulums, Reiki. My sister does shamanic work, shamanic healing, and it's just about having fun and finding your own thing.
Yes, and that's the thing about being spiritual too. Some people can feel that it's really solemn or intense, or it needs a lot of concentration or something like that, rather when it can also be just really joyful and fun and playful and just happy, because then you experience more freedom as well when
absolutely.
you can free your spirit and lighten up, like literally lighten up.
Yes.
And yes,
agree.
Absolutely. And I forgot what I was going to say.
I was thinking that everybody's journey is different, isn't it? Everybody's journey is different on their own path to, I know we've heard all, the path to enlightenment, but I think in our times now with post-COVID, well, we're not really completely after the worst of it, but having been through such a shake-up in all of our lifestyles and way of being, this is a perfect opportunity now for us to all rethink, how do we want to spend our days? How can we come together in communities more? And I think that that's definitely instrumental in people's shifting of consciousness now.
Yes, absolutely. That is so true, Linda. And what ways can people get in touch with you if they want to learn more about the Gypsy life or metaphysics or soul hypnotherapy or these retreats? How can they reach you?
So you can contact me through my website at Soul Hypnotherapy. I'm also available on the usual socials, Facebook and Instagram. And we also have a website, Magic Moon Retreats, as well. And I'm also
Moon, I love that.
Magic Moon, yes. So much fun to be had there. Yes. So people can have a look at the links that you're going to pop in and see.
They'll all be in the show notes below the video.
Yes,
absolutely.
We can schedule, if anybody would like to have a chat, we can schedule a chat via Zoom or connect via email, whatever suits.
Wonderful. Thank you for offering that. And do you have any other words of wisdom that you'd like to offer before we close out this episode?
I just believe that everybody is entitled, and in fact is your birthright, to live your best life. And if you're feeling that that's not happening for you, then follow your intuition and reach out and really have a look at how you can start to do that. There's so many people doing beautiful things in the metaphysical and spiritual world. Connect to people who are like-minded, and reach out, and I think you'll be very glad that you did.
Absolutely. And it's important too to connect within, in your heart, to have faith, find answers in the heart as well.
Yes, I agree. So well put.
Thank you so very much for joining us today, Linda.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
And thank you to all of you who have been listening and watching on Wise Woman Wednesdays. I honor you, and we'll see you next time.